G'day, this is Mike from Red20RC and welcome to part 3 of the Get Good at Flying Multi-Rotors project. Today I want to talk about frame selection and we're going to look at the frames that I'm going to be flying for the rest of the series. Now obviously these are going to be Red20RC frames because that's the whole idea, and I don't want to tell you what frame to buy or how to buy a frame, but I'll tell you why I design, build, fly the frames that I do. So I guess the most important thing to think about is, especially if we're going to be doing some racing, is the actual racing classes. And the best guide that I found whilst I was hunting around the internet doing some research was on the multigp.com website. They've got a couple of classes that they're setting out, and the guidelines seem to be very clear and very easy to follow. So the two that I'm interested in are going to be the 150 class and the 250 class. So we'll start with 150. There's not a lot of guidelines out there at the moment, but basically it's a 150 to 219mm wheelbase, and that's all we know at the moment. So obviously everybody knows and loves now the Kermit, the SWH 170, and I'm hoping that this will be the perfect frame for this class. We're running 3 and 4 cell batteries, 3100 kV motors with 4-inch props. Should be a good performance because it's light, it's fast, and it's very manoeuvrable. So in the 250 class, we've got it split into two different groups. We've got 3 cell and 4 cell. 3 cells designed more for beginners because the frames aren't quite as quick and are a little bit easier to handle. 4 cell for more advanced pilots. There's a lot of power there. You could easily get overpowered by the frame and get into trouble. So I've got 3 frames here that I'll be flying, 2 of which you already know. The BDX 240, this is a 5-inch prop frame, and it's running the 2204 2300 kV Quantum motors. Now this is really, just because of the weight of it and because of the fact that it carries that GoPro style camera, it's really a 4-cell frame, so it's only going to be good for the 4-cell class, but we might give it a go on 3-cell and see how it goes later on. So the other one we've got is the SWH 250 Low Pro. This is the new one. Now this can carry 5 or 6-inch props and 3 or 4-cell batteries. Now I've flown it with a 3-cell 2200 and the power was good, not as good as a 4-cell, so we'll see how it goes. It's got the 2206T motors on it, so I reckon that with 6-inch props and 3 or 4 cell is going to be an absolute rocket because it's not that heavy. Now the other one that you won't have seen yet, because this is the only one in the world, this is the new prototype, is the R220 Evo. Now this is my own R220 Mini H frame that I've been selling since day one, but completely redesigned to be a racing frame. This is the 5-inch version. It's running the 2204 motors again, and it can carry anything up to an 1800 4-cell pack. So very light, hopefully very, very fast. So those are the frames that I'm going to be flying. Why are they designed the way they are? Because there's so much out there on the market at the moment, and there's so many good frames. I mean, the world at the moment is being dominated by things like the QAV 250, now the Immersion RC Vortex is the one that everybody's talking about. Now my own personal feeling is that a lot of these frames are getting so complicated now with folding arms and OSDs and power distribution boards built into the frames, that sort of thing. All I see when I look at these things is trouble. If I'm racing, I want something that is going to be strong, it's going to be lightweight, and it's not going to be too difficult to repair at the field when I inevitably smack it into something. And that's what all of these frames, all 4 of them, have got designed into them. There's no built-in PDBs, because when you do that you have to use G10, which is 40% heavier and 40% weaker than using carbon. And with the exception of the BDX 240, which has the built-in GoPro mount, all of these also have the option to either have or remove a Mobius mounting plate. And of course, if you're going to be racing, you want it to be as light and as fast as possible, so you might not want an HD camera on there at all. Now again, all of these, if you look at them, feature the same thing. You can tilt the FPV camera. These are all got the fixed cameras in them that can be tilted on the brackets. The BDX 240 has a fixed camera mount at 25 degrees, which seems to be really good for fast forward flight. I know some people say, oh no, well I need to have it at like 50 degrees. You don't really. I know there's different schools of thought on this, but as long as you've got a good clear forward view, it's not all about how far you can tip the frame over. So yeah, the only other rule that we need to stick to, of course, with racing is video transmitter power. Everybody's using 5.8 gigahertz, but it's a maximum of 250 milliwatts. So again, yep, you can get things out there that are 600, 1000, 2000 milliwatt VTX, but when you're only going to be 200 yards away from yourself, you don't need that much power. You're just going to swamp everybody else in the field. So all of these are set up with 200 or 250 milliwatt VTXs. This one's still got the whip on it because it's still prototype, but of course all the others are running the standard immersion RC Spironet, which seems to be one of the antennas of choice these days. So yeah, so other things we've got to think about: propellers. All of these you will notice are running the HQ bullnose. I've also got the new Gemfan bullnose that I'm going to be trying out. And I've also got some 6-inch props for the SWH if I decide to try those. Battery packs, again, lots out there. I tend to do most of my shopping at Hobby King still. I'm still stuck in that rut, but I will be running mostly the Nanotechs. I've never been a massive fan of them because if you don't look after them, which I'm kind of notorious for doing, they puff up. But they do have a pretty good C rating on them. So I've got anything here from the 1003 cells for the Kermit. I've got an 854 cell, that's again for the Kermit. I've got a 1.34 cell, 1.53 cell. These are really light when compared to other stuff. And again, probably the biggest that I use is the 1.84 cell, all with the XT60 connector. Radio of choice, Taranis, need I say any more? All these frames are running the D4R2 receiver. In actual fact, on the R220 last night I hooked up the telemetry with the soft serial port, so I've now got audio battery warnings as well as RSSI coming through on the radio, so that's really good. Again, don't really need an OSD clouding up my vision when I'm racing if all I can get is just a battery readout every 30 seconds to let me know when I need to think about landing. And finally, goggles. I've always used the Fast Shark Attitude. There's lots out there, from the Quantum DIY ones right up to the new Dominators. Yeah, it's your choice, it's what you like to use. I've never had a problem with these, and they seem to work really well. So yeah, so that's my frame selection. I choose them because I make them, which means I can customize them, and they're simple. They're strong, they're light, and they fly well. And yeah, that's it. Best of luck. I'll get out there and fly once it stops raining and blowing a gale. The weather is awful at the moment, spring's deserted us. Next episode will be tuning, which will be Clean Flight and an Ace32, because that's all I'm running on any of this. So yeah, speak to you soon. Bye bye.